Arknolia and the Doctor, Dr. Earl, Arknolia Strokabine, Keith Barber, the Great YR, and Prince. And we got with us. I'm going to give this tour.
Music.
That was loud, dude.
What the heck?
That's YR. He has got one of those vocal effects on the system there.
Getting excited, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Don't ruin it.
and we also got with us. I got this guy cool. I like this name. I'm going to give you a Princey. Prince Idol Donatello. How does that name sound?
Prince Idol Donatello.
Yeah,
It
three
works.
names. That makes you sound, and that makes you important.
Shut up. That makes you.
I know it's probably what, but but it's a cool
is
name. I
Donna-
like that name. It's called, well, you
is
are
Donna-
important. What?
Is
What?
Donatello part of the Italian mob?
I don't know. You have to
Power
ask
Rangers.
Donatello that yourself there if you find one.
Power
No,
Rangers.
Donatello is
okay.
like it's like a lost in like it's like I'm a spy lost in Mexico, and anyone that messes with me, they get they come up missing. It's like
I
my
see there.
Alright.
If I was in Mexico, I'll be called Donatello. Like, oh, did you hear about the myth? The guy Donatello.
Yeah. The reason I came up with that name was since Prince often calls himself Prince Idol, Prince Donatello, and
Yeah.
so that kind of caught me for you. So I figured I'd call them all three names at once. Give them a real powerful name, because I always had a thing for three names, whether it's a first, middle, and last, because that always sounds cool. Plus, it
Yeah.
gives that person a presence of importance. That makes that person actually makes everyone realize that that person is important.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Why,
there we go.
I like when you do the echo thing with the voice changer or whatever.
You start that.
Did
Dr.
you,
Orjo don't have time for that. You don't got time for that. Don't start
did you
that.
see?
I don't know,
Did
Doc. I don't
you
have time for that.
Did you
Let's
see?
see what-
Brown? Did you see the Led Zeppelin song me and Keith did?
Yes, I did. A whole lot of love cover there.
What do you think
Yes.
about
Yep.
that?
Yeah, but well, Keith, your timing was off on that song there, by the way. But then again, you're not a singer. You don't play an instrument, so you don't know.
Well, I mean, I used to go to karaoke all the time, and I would get like very big applauses when I was done with karaoke.
You have proof of this, because if you were able to, but you were the timing is off on
Better
that
than
one.
most. Better than most. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, because guys, better than that old fat chick with the 4 eyes there trying to do a Pussycat Dolls cover.
Oh my God.
I remember seeing that. That was years when I lived in Richmond, Michigan. Some overweight chick trying to do. Don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me? Oh gosh. Oh, can you imagine how many nightmares we had after seeing that? Right. All right. So we ready to go, guys?
Yep.
All right. Okay. Today we're going to be taking a look at probably a considered glam rock influence. They have influenced many bands throughout the whole 1980s. They had a part in influencing Skid Row, the Foo Fighters, but mostly Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, baby.
We're taking a look at one of the first big bands from Finland to be known to the whole world. And we're talking about the band Hanoi Rocks. They released a number of albums in their native Finland, around Poland, England, everywhere else. But it wasn't until 1984's Two Steps from the Move, which released it on CBS here in the States, that kind of got them noticed. Sadly, their career was cut short from a tragic accident in December of 1984 there. What it was is then, it was basically what I understand, it was a party at Vince Neil's house, and he was Razzle, Andy McCoy, and now they were having a party there. They went to get more drugs and more beer. You know, we all know the story. Vince Neil was driving. They get into an accident. They strike a car. the two passengers in the other car had a brain damage and I guess were left paralyzed in a couple of parts of their body. I don't know if it was permanently or whichever it was, but Razzle ended up dying as a result from that car wreck.
Yes.
Yes. And of course, that would probably be one of the biggest black marks upon Vince Neil's career there. You know.
Yes.
And I guess it's been years now. The group would soon break up due to conflicts with a couple of personal changes. They did get back together around 2001, 2008 there. Did a couple of shows, but after 2009, they decided to call it quits in general, causing their final breakup. Now, keep in mind, they had a big influence on Guns N' Roses, pretty much there. In fact, Uzi Suicide, GNR's record label, which of course distributed Live Like a Suicide, an EP prior to Appetite for Destruction, they decided to get a hold of the European catalog of Hanoi Rocks and reissue them on colored vinyl. And I remember seeing the copies of those albums all over the Record Time, a store in East Point, Michigan there. So basically these guys were like a big part of bands, as I mentioned, as Guns N' Roses, Skid Row, and many others there. For instance, Slash and Duff McKagan bought tickets to some sold-out shows in Los Angeles, which sadly were canceled due to Razzle's death. Mm-hmm. In fact, the Hollywood scene changed in just one night, according to the guitarist from the Foo Fighters, when people saw pictures of Hanoi Rocks. And after that, everybody started wearing the same kind of hair, the clothes, makeup as their frontman, Michael Monroe. In fact, they've been mentioned as the starters of the Hollywood glam rock scene, which was adopted by many bands like, Poison, other bands like Jet Boy, LA Guns, many others.
But it's a big deal because with Razzle passing away, it's a big deal because Motley Crue mentioned it in their book called The Dirt, and they also mentioned it in the little short film movie they had on Netflix. So it's a big deal that they mentioned it in the movie and book.
Yeah, really? Because I was looking at an article about Michael Monroe, see if he still had resentment towards Vince Neil. I guess he's kind of like has nothing to say about it today, but I can imagine he was furious at Vince Neil for that because that kind of like gave gateway to the end of the group there.
Yeah, because Motley Crue went on to become a successful band while Hanoi Rocks just died.
I know. So
it's almost like Doc.
Prevent sleep, even in energy. This means less cramping. And start stellar.
Okay. All right, so that must have been YR. Okay, so the band was formed in 1979 by Michael Monroe and his buddy Andy McCoy. Now, McCoy did not join the band immediately because he was also a guitarist for a punk band over there. I guess the name is called, let me get this, Pel Mil Janoi, if I'm going to pronounce that correctly. Now, McCoy allowed Monroe to form the band with the agreement that McCoy would join later. The original lineup was Michael Monroe on vocals, Stephen the Pie Snack on guitar there, and a guy named Nasty Suicide on guitar as well. Bassist Nino Salnin, and Piki Sorola, if I'm correct. You got to remember, I'm having trouble pronouncing these European last names there, so don't mind me, folks. The band toured many Finnish clubs there. McCoy and Monroe's own songs and covers like He's a Whore by Cheap Trick, The Police is Born in the 50s, Looking at You by the MC5, was one of their staples in their live set. And the basically their first shows was at one of their shows, a man named Seppo Westerrain, who had also bought big name artists to like Iggy Pop, Frank Zappa to Finland. He caught the show and became their band's management. speaking with Monroe and McCoy in late 1980, you know, Andy McCoy decided to join Hanoi Rocks full time and was later joined by another member of his old band, bassist Sammy Yaffa. Now, McCoy replaced one guitar player who had been arrested for drug possession, and Nino, the other bass player, was replaced by Yapa. By then, Pecky had decided to leave the group, and so when they relocated to Stockholm, they got an old friend from named Gib Casino on drums there. Now, the early recordings from London, they decided to live mostly on the street, begging for money, except for Andy McCoy, who lived with his wealthy girlfriend. In November of 1980, they struck a deal with a guy named Johanna Kastanis, and they released their debut single titled "I Want You" / "Kill City Kills." The song "I Want You" was a new version of this German, what's it called? A Swedish song by a band called Heartbreak. McCoy had translated the song, which title means "I Want You" in Swedish, into English and claimed it as his own. "Kill City Kills" was one of McCoy's oldest songs, which he had written when he was hanging around a Finnish apartment block called Kill City. Now, Kill City, by the way, also became the title of an album, joint album between Iggy Pop and James Williamson, one of the guitarists from the Stooges back in the 70s there.
Yeah.
Now, they launched a 102-day tour in January 1981, which was to be the longest rock tour in Finnish history. The tour developed the band's energetic and wild playing style, which audience were slow to find pleasing, but later praised the band for. The second single, "Tragedy," was released in February of 1981. The same month, the band released their debut album, "Bangkok Shocks, Saigon Shakes, Hanoi Rocks."
Yeah.
It was produced by Monroe and McCoy, calling themselves the Muddy Twins. The album was well received, reaching number 5 on the Finland album charts. In September of that same year, after extensive tours in Sweden and Finland, the band moved to London, England, where they recorded their second album, which will be entitled, let's see what's the name of it. It doesn't list it here. In September of that same year, the band made their debut at the Marquee Club in London. In late November, they returned to Finland and released Desperados, and another single called "Dead by Christmas." "Nothing New" was a B-side. Razzle joined the group, later on in what's him at here? What the fuck here? I'm trying to make things. They decided, fuck it, hell, I'm going to have to go by the thing here. Now, in January 1982, the Hanoi Boys released their first music videos at a concert venue at the Center of Independent Youth Culture. The songs "Tragedy," "Oriental Beat," and "Motor Baton." The band also released their second album, "Oriental Beat," and the album was mostly received by critics and magazines, including a publication called Sounds and Kerrang, which ran out of England there. Whereas writer Dave Dixon continued to extensively cover the band's career in the 80s. The band spent the spring of that year touring in Sweden and had their first Japanese breakthrough with the song "Tragedy." In May of that year, their single "Love's an Ejection" was released. In June of that same year, they had permanently moved to London, England. Monroe met a Hanoi Rocks fan named Razzle at a Johnny Thunders show. Razzle, who was the drummer for a punk band called The Dark, located in London, found out that Monroe was a singer for Hanoi Rocks. He attended some shows, showed up backstage, and asked to be the band's drummer. Now, as a result, he got the gig. Their previous drummer had been busted for his consistent drug use, depression, and suicidal thoughts. Razzle was now their new drummer. In the same year, in August, the band released their third album, Self-Destruction Blues. The single Love's an Injection was included on the album. Now, Razzle had yet to join the band when the songs were recorded, but he is credited on the album. The album was released in October of Finland with the song Love's Injection spending a week at #1 on the Finnish singles charts. And the band also signed a contract with a Japanese record label just as well. They did tours in Asia. They released another album called Back to Mystery City. And in 1983, they signed a deal with Epic CBS, or Columbia CBS there. Now, in 1984, they released an album called Two Steps from the Move. It was produced by Bob Ezrin, the guy who produced Alice Cooper, and later co-produced The Wall by Pink Floyd, one of the most successful concept albums of all ages, next to Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche. Now, the album also included some songwriting contribution from Ian Hunter from Mock the Hoople, Jack Bruce, formerly of Cream. And they had a lot of songs on there, which would be recorded for the album there, including the cover of CCR's Up Around the Bend. Now, that was released as a single here in the States, along with the video there. I remember seeing it on the old MTV, and I was very impressed by this group there. Now, whether the group was a heavy metal or not, it still remains question. The band themselves said they weren't a heavy metal group, but yet the style kind of gave way to the glam metal that we now call it back in the whole 1980s there. Everybody else was doing it. Now, the title Two Steps from the Move was originally supposed to have been called Silver Missiles and Nightmares. It was changed at the last minute. It was their most successful album on the UK charts, where it peaked at number 28. Now, a couple other singles followed from this album, The Title Cut and Underwater World. In November, Don't You Ever Leave Me, Oil and Gasoline, There's a Flip Side, was released, in which time the new album had sold 200,000 copies, most of them in the U.S., which they charted about 60,000 copies. Britain, it was about 50,000, and in Finland, 20,000. In the U.S., the album sold a total of 44,000 copies in its first 2 weeks. After a tour in Sweden, the band decided to tour America until Michael Monroe fractured his ankle on stage in Syracuse, New York on November 29th, resulting in some gates being canceled. And now,
man, I love Syracuse, New York. I want to go back.
Oh wow, have you been there before, man?
Yes.
Wow.
Like two years ago.
Mm.
It was. I love the weather in Syracuse, New York. It snows like 9 months out of the year. I like it.
Nice there. I wonder if Ken has been to Syracuse at one time. He used to get on the call and join in on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, while Monroe was recuperating from his fractured ankle, the members of Hanoi Rocks were partying with the band Motley Crue at the house of Vince Neil, as we detailed the whole scenario at the beginning of the program. The party stopped when everybody noticed they were out of booze. So Neil and Razzle, both drunk off their asses, got in a automobile, went by to the liquor store, and with Neil behind the wheel. On the way back, they crashed into another car. Razzle was rushed to the hospital and pronounced dead at 7 p.m. He had died instantly in the collision. Both occupants in the other car were seriously injured, sustaining brain damage as a result. Now, Tommy Lee and Andy McCoy went looking for Neil and Razzle. They drove by the crash site and saw Neil being handcuffed and placed into a police car. They were also informed that Razzle had been taken to the hospital, being pronounced dead. McCoy contacted their management and later told the rest of the band. The band later returned to London, and the only tour dates not canceled were 2 shows in January 3rd and 4th in 1985, which were broadcast live under the title Europe A Go-Go to a worldwide audience. Both shows were memorials to Razzle, with the song Million Miles Away being dedicated to him. Now, Terry Chimes, who had played with The Clash, played the drums on those 2 shows. After the shows the following year, Sammy Yapa left the group due to personal differences with McCoy. They returned to London to take a short break. Yapa was replaced by Rene Berg. Terry Chimes remained as the new drummer for the group. Monroe planned to quit, but the record label convinced him to do a short tour in Poland, whereas Don't You Ever Leave Me was going up the charts. Monroe decided to stay on the condition that no live record would be released. But a semi-official live album was released on those shows entitled Rock and Roll Divorce. Now, the album was panned by managers, band members, and critics. Now, get this. Rene Berg, the new member of the group, he often stated that Hanoi Rocks was his band, which led to him being dismissed and replaced by another bass player. This lineup never performed live, and in June of 1985, Monroe officially left the group, ending the group in general. At the same time, Don't You Ever Leave Me was number 6 on the Polish singles charts. And believe it or not, their popularity still continued to rise throughout the 1990s. Now, later on, a couple years later, Monroe released a solo album. The single Dead, Jail, or Rock and Roll would be a big hit on the old MTV. Axl Rose will make an appearance on the video there. Now, in February 2001, they decided, Monroe and McCoy that is, to perform together for the first time since 1985 in their home country of Finland. They toured again in that summer under the name Hanoi Revisited. After that short tour, they decided to reform the band. This will be, as the two put it, a rebirth, not a reformation of the band, mainly because the other members were unable to join. Razzle was dead. Nasty Suicide had become a pharmacist. Sammy Yapa was a member of a New York group called Mad Joanna, and the bassist for the New York Dolls. And one of their former drummers was no longer active in music. The Muddy Twins chose a couple of new members to join the group. And the new Hanoi Rocks started their tour. Monroe made a deal that they would be equal writers on songs, not just McCoy. The following year, the two had written enough songs for an album. 12 Shots on the Rocks was released, and though the album was a hit in Finland and Japan, Monroe and McCoy were not present when the album was mixed, and when they heard the finished product, they were not happy. The album was remixed in 2003, featuring 2 new songs called Moonlight Dance and Bad News. Most of that year and the following year consisted of constant touring. But one of the members departed to continue his work with a project called Papita. Now, he was replaced by another guitar player who only recording with them was the song Keep the Fire Burning. No, Keep Our Fire Burning. That was released as a single. That new member was fired from the group on the fall of 2004 for not getting along with the other members. And the other new bass player left because of family issues. In 2004, the band now consisted of Monroe, McCoy, and the guy's last name, Lasso. They headed to the studio, recorded an album called Another Hostile Takeover. With no bassist and no second guitarist, Monroe had to do both parts. But in early 2005, the band was able to find two members, a bassist and a new guitar player. Now, one of them was in a band called, one of them was name was Connie Bloom, Conny, not confused with the other Connie that we know, Conneie. Now, this guy used to play with a group called the Electric Boys, and he fit well with Hanoi Rocks. He also suggested that a guy named Andy A.C. Christel, who also played in the Electric Boys just as well. The reaction to Another Hostile Takeover was mixed. Critics liked the album's diversity and braveness to try new things, but some of their old fans and hard rock fans thought the record was a little bit too weird, and that most of Hanoi Rocks had changed much since the 80s era. Now, in 2005 and 2006, the band toured throughout both Europe and Asia. And the following year, 2007, they performed in the new song Fashion on Swedish Saturday Live TV show. For 2007's Street Poetry, the band worked on some unfinished songs from the 80s, such as Teenage Revolution, which was first thought during the Two Steps from the Move sessions back in 1984. This album also marked the first time that other band members besides Monroe and McCoy were permitted to write songs. Street Poetry was released in September of that year, and the music video was shot for the first single, Fashion. Now, the final breakup would soon occur after this. Laku suddenly decided that he was going to leave Hanoi Rocks to join another band. In March 2008, the band started their first acoustic tour titled Hanoi Rocks Stepping Out Acoustically, which the band's drum technician played drums. In May of that year, it was announced that the new drummer would be a Swedish native named George, let's see, I got this, Alzlatic. Hope I pronounced the name right. By this time, Monroe and McCoy had come to the decision that the time had come to an end, that they could no longer continue on as Hanoi Rocks. They have not collaborated since 2007, and things were kind of getting stale. Eventually, the two released a statement that he had taken his band as far as they could, that the band would now call it quits. In a 2008 autobiography titled All Those Wasted Years, it mainly covered the band's career in the 80s, including the rare photos of the band, its members, new interviews with Monroe, McCoy, Nazi Suicide, and a couple other ex-members. They had decided that it would play 8 farewell shows over 6 days at this club in, what's it called? Helsinki, I think it's called there. Now, all the shows were sold out, and the band's original guitarist, Nazi Suicide, would appear as a special guest in 3 of the last gigs. The final show was joined by a couple other members as well. And that show, the last one, was released as a DVD titled Buried Alive. And that was it. Now, the legacy this band has left, as we mentioned, it would help propel the glam rock scene, as we know it, that bands like Pretty Boy Floyd, Skid Row, and of course, Guns N' Roses, Poison, they would often copy their looks. So it's safe to say, as we mentioned at the top of the program,
Warrant. They influenced Warrant as well.
That's right. They also influenced the 69 Eyes also from Finnish as well there. Manic Street Preachers, the Murder Dolls, the Foo Fighters just as well there. They have also influenced other bands from Finland, such as Nightwish, Him, Children of Bottom. Many of those bands would be influenced by
I
Hanoi
think
Rocks.
I think when I said before Michael Monroe was the originator, I think he was the first one, the first rock star to have the blonde hair and the spray paint. And I mean, not the hair grease that all spiked up, 80s
Yeah,
glam. I think he was the first one to do it, and then it inspired guys like Sebastian Bach, Axl Rose, and all these other guys started doing it when he was the first one. I think he was the first one who actually did that, the whole eyeliner and spiking the hair up. I think
yeah,
Michael Monroe was the first one to do that back in
yeah.
his time.
Now I'm gonna read a little quote from Joe Elliott, the frontman of Def Leppard. He described his dislike of 80s glam metals like Poison, Motley Crue. He had this to say about Hanoi Rocks, quote unquote. The only band, and I'm not saying because we're here at the Swedish Rock Festival where they were playing, the only band that did pull it off was Hanoi Rocks. I thought Hanoi Rocks were a good band, and that they looked. Michael Monroe was one of their best. I would have snagged him. I like Michael. I think he's sexy, and I'm not gay. And I think Andy McCoy, their guitarist, is doing his best kind of Keith Richards. So much better than Motley Crue or Poison or any of those bands. They were real. The rest of the guys, it was all a bit fake for me. So Joel from Def Leppard giving the Hanoi Rocks their due of respect.
Keith, would you snag Michael Monroe? Keith?
Keith, you there, dude? Keith, are you there?
Yes.
All right, dude, Prince asked you a question.
Oh.
Hmm.
Okay.
I said,
Repeat the question.
would you snag Michael Monroe, the lead singer of Hanoi Rocks? Would you snag him? Because even Doc said he was a pretty dude, and you'd even snag him, but he's not gay.
What do you?
That's absolutely, I mean, oftentimes that's often called a man crush.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't even know who that is. Like
Who, Joe Elliott?
You know
yeah,
who?
like
What, Michael Monroe?
yep.
He was.
Yeah.
I was talking about a moment ago. He's
Oh,
a singer,
I mean,
Hanoi
on
Rock
this
singer.
show, it's hard for me to pay attention on this show because
No, you
I'm
need
not
to pay it.
interested.
No, you got to pay. You got to pay attention, dude. There's
Gotta be.
other genres of music out there other than hip hop.
Okay, but I don't. I listen to just about all genres, but I don't listen to heavy metal. I listen to
Well,
country, R&B, pop, reggae, reggaeton, EDM. I listen to rock from like 1990 to right now.
hmm
Bro, I told you, Hanoi Rocks has a mixture of just what you just said. Like they do a little bit of everything. Like no lie,
Yeah.
I'm not. They actually do. He
Oh,
literally
okay.
has a mixture of everything. Go listen to his music. There's a little bit of reggae. There's a little bit of saxophone music. There's a little bit of jazz in there. Michael Monroe literally does almost about everything besides rock and roll. That's
Yeah.
why I requested this band for a reason.
Oh, all
'Cause
right.
they're different.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can tell by how they dress, dude. Come on.
Yeah, it was way different. The last band to pull up the look they had was the New York Dolls,
Okay.
David Johansen's old group.
Here's what you don't know: when Michael Monroe is doing his country music, he's like one of the best harmonica players in the game. Like he can wail on that harmonica.
Oh, I got to find that a video clip of doing that. I wonder if he could put the guy from Blues Traveler to shame.
I thought Steven Tyler can play mean harmonica. I thought Stevie Wonder can play mean harmonica. No, Michael Monroe, he kills it on harmonica.
Wow, nice, cool.
Well, he has those big lips like Steven Tyler. So you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
Steven Tyler has these massive lips, man. Jesus,
I know, but other than Jagger.
God, like how do you walk around with giant lips like that?
I don't know. Well, I
Kiss
don't
your
know.
mother.
Some people are born that. Some people are born with those big ass lips, so it's hard to say, man.
Jeez.
All right, so Ark, what do you think about the discussion we had here? Makes you want to go check out some of their songs there?
Well, actually, I did when we first talked about doing them because I'd never heard of the band,
Wow.
which is awfully surprising coming from me. But I had honestly never heard of them before.
Yeah.
And I went and, well, I told you I had an extensive MP3 collection. I had some stuff by them.
Oh, wow,
So,
nice.
To
oh,
answer your question, Mr. Ordinary, the reason why none of you have heard of them is because, like I said, Motley Crue like dethroned these guys. Like Motley Crue was like they like literally killed them off. Like Motley Crue
well, I've heard
took
of
their
Motley
drummer.
Crue, but I don't like them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I only liked them when I only really liked them during the early years, and when "Shot of the Devil" and "Too Fast for Love"
Yeah,
was out.
man, that was okay. I'll give it to them. That Shout of the Devil album and She Got Looks to Kill.
Badass.
Was pretty good, pretty cool. But I just feel bad that they actually knocked Hanoi Rocks off their throne, off their high horse to get where they are. They shouldn't have to do that.
Now, I will say
How I was telling Keith, here's what I think. This is my thing. I think for this is my conspiracy theory because I'm in this conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Killed for the success of his band. Like I think he blood sacrificed Razzle for his success of the band. Nikki Sixx was into that type of stuff. Think about it. Nikki Sixx was all on that whole dark, shout at the devil stuff. Nikki Sixx was weird like that.
God damn it.
Nikki,
You okay, Wire? Well, let's also keep in mind that
I used to listen. Okay, go ahead.
Well, keep in mind, guys, that the video for "Live Wire" by Motley Crue featured an upside-down pentagram behind Tommy Lee's kit, a black bunch of skulls, a bunch of candles, and also Nikki Sixx wearing a satanic cross necklace.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you. The man was
Look
crazy.
it up on YouTube. Yeah.
I liked Nikki Sixx radio station. It was pretty cool. He had
You
his
mean
own.
6 Sense? I remember. Yeah,
Yes.
I was hearing that a lot of times. There, 6 Sense.
Yeah.
And also keep in mind the original cover for "Shot of the Devil" featured a pentagram, engraved pentagram on the black cover there. They since when it was reissued on CD and others, they decided to reissue to remove that and put photos from the band's the gatefold of that album as the front cover there on CD and also on the cassette as well when it was released.
Yeah, the Sixth Sense radio station. It played rock from like 1970 to 2010.
Yeah,
That was pretty good.
Yeah. I remember, like I said, I heard it a couple of times. Nikki be interviewing John 5. Be interviewing members of Godsmack here and there, Five Finger Death Punch, and all that stuff there.
Yes.
You know what's really messed up about it, Doc? When Snail was in jail, they actually said they gave him like alcohol, they gave him beer, cigarettes for good behavior. Like they literally catered to him while he was in jail. Like that's.
Are you
that's
serious? Wait. Are you serious?
They were catering to him for good behavior. Like that shit is fucked up. You sat there and kill someone, and you're getting catered to in jail, like signing autographs and taking pictures of people, and like that's fucked up.
That makes no sense.
His jail was nothing. It's like he didn't even care that he killed Razzle.
He may have. He may have. He may have had. I mean, I guess on their next record, Theater of Pain, the crew would advocate against drunk driving. If you choose to drink, please do not take behind the wheel. They wrote that in one of the liner notes of that album there.
That's good.
Yeah. Even Ozzy Osbourne advocated a commercial for that back in the early 91, 92 there.
And there were rumors that he almost got in a fight with Axl Rose too.
Oh yeah, I heard about that as well there. I guess it has. Yeah, there was that beef. That beef was going on throughout that whole period there. That's for sure. I don't know how it started, but I think it was over somebody hitting up on one's girlfriend or whichever there.
Yeah. I bet you Michael Monroe was behind Axl Rose's back. The dude, kick his ass. He killed Razzle. Kick that dude's ass. And Axl Rose, he can fight.
Yeah.
I've seen this dude jump the stage.
I know, yeah. He's been known to do that many times. But then again, you got to remember the Axl back then. Yeah, the Axel back then had a lot of rage inside of him. So basically, he was letting all that rage out, whereas he's a lot more calmer, cooler nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it was his fault that he got crazy at shows. Like people were throwing stuff on stage. He's
Yeah,
like, stop throwing.
Yeah, they had to have a habit of doing that, and Axel had to address that a few times at various shows there. One more thing gets
Like-
tossed, and we
His-
will leave the stage.
Slash was bad too.
Yep.
His lead
Yeah.
guitar player Slash, him fighting,
Yeah.
that was bad too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Damn. But
I
then
know,
again,
right? All that
that's
stuff,
true.
all that toxic
Motley
energy.
Crue got into a scuffle with one of the security guards back in '97 there.
They did.
I remember. So, where's YR? YR still here, dude?
YR?
YR, you still there,
Yeah.
dog?
Let me see.
He's
What?
mute.
Oh, okay,
mute.
there.
He's muted.
Nice. So, if you had a chance, would you want to time travel back to the 1980s when all the glam was running amok?
Heck
No.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I would go to the Whiskey Go and be on me like, oh my God. I was like a
Okay.
rock star. You
okay.
know what I mean? And get me a bag.
All right. Oh.
You know what I mean?
I see there. Yeah, it would be nice to go live those scenes up there. It will also be. It'll also be wise.
Whatever, Jack and Coke and everything. You know, that's how I would get down.
It'd also be wise to take all these SJW kids out there, bitching about the dirt, bitching about how they were treating women. That's how it was back then, believe it or not.
Then they were talking about catching crabs and like
Diseases. Because I think at that time, condoms were not a main thing until C. Everett Koop just recommended everybody using them.
I actually got a chance to read her book. We have to do a review over her too.
Who?
What's her name? She was married to Janie Lee, Bobby Brown. She was the biggest slut. Oh my God, that woman was a slut. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
She made out with every rock star that came out. Every single rock star.
But then again, who has what a model around that area hasn't?
And I don't blame her. I mean, she was hot.
I mean, Tawny Contain. I guess she was also romantically involved with Warren D. Martini, the guitarist from Rat, prior to that.
Yeah.
Years before about you hooking up with David Coverdale.
And she hooked up with that dude, that young boy from Titanic. What's his name?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, she hooked up with him too.
Oh yeah, no surprise there. It's sad that she had to die the way she did. But who knows what happened there?
She says in her book, Doc, she really wanted to get with Axl Rose, but Axl Rose during the time was dating Everly Emerlin, his first wife.
Yeah, absolutely. Erin Everly would be the daughter of one of the. She was, yeah. And to keep in mind, she was also the daughter of one of the Everly brothers. I don't know if it was Phil or Don there, but Tawny Katane could be thankful now because, Axl, for what I understand, Steven Adler, the original drummer from Guns N' Roses, he will never be back with the group.
What did he
Remember,
do?
he got why? Here's why. What I found out in the article, he apparently slept with Aaron Everly.
What?
He did.
Yo,
And he
you're
also-
fucking. You're
Right.
fucking.
No, I'm not. I read it in the Guardian couple years back.
Because I'm a huge Guns N' Roses fan. Oh shit! This is
And
real, Doc?
It's real, yes. Remember, I guess Axl and Aaron were not seeing eye to eye at this moment. Apparently, Axl wanted to have a baby or a son or a daughter, and she was not having it. So I guess they had that led to some conflict. And I guess as a payback, she decided to sleep with Steven Adler, their drummer, and to make and what also else is even more fucked up? Adler shot her up with a speedball.
Whoa!
And a speedball, as you know, is a drug. It's a mix of heroin and cocaine. the same drug that killed John Belushi.
Shit.
And Axel found out about it, and not only did he dumped Aaron Everly, he also dumped Steven Adler. Now I got to read you a little something here that I'm going to find this on the internet here. It's Steven Adler's quote about apparently he did a couple of appearances on a couple of Guns N' Roses reunion tour, but apparently I guess he made this he said something about, I love those songs. I'm going to try and find it here. Now, this sounds absolutely pitiful, the guy there.
Sad, man. That is
I know it is.
There's also another interview I want to bring to your attention.
Yeah.
Sebastian Bach and Axl Rose with Aaron Everly, and they called in on the Howard Stern show, and Howard Stern said, "Dude, what is Aaron Everly doing naked with Sebastian?" And Axl literally says, "Oh, bro, you don't know how this works." I'm like, well, "Are you guys having a threesome?" He goes, "Yeah, Howard." I'm like, oh my god.
Wow.
Yes, she had a threesome with Axl Rose and Sebastian Bach. I was like, what? He goes and he literally tells Howard Stern, "Yeah, you don't know how this works, buddy. This is what we do." I'm like, what? But then again, Howard Stern, he's, you know how he is. Sicko.
Yeah.
Of course, he supports that crap.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No doubt about that. Now, Adler, by the way, who continued to do drugs until a point where he gave himself a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
He was even a part of this thing called, Sober House. It was a spin-off to the show Celebrity Rehab, which started Dr. Dupinski from Dr. Do from Loveline with Anna Carolla. Apparently, it was a bunch of celebrities in a rehab center together, and apparently he was booted off the show. He was arrested because apparently he was intoxicated, threatening other people in that house.
Oh my god!
Now he kept saying, he had said that he made this claim that Guns N' Roses fired him for trying to get straight. Turned out to be the complete opposite. So obviously, I guess Adler's probably cleaning his act up now.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I think the reason why Slash and Axl Rose had a fallout, I think the same thing happened twice to Axl Rose. I think Slash was messing with Vanessa Seymour. Remember when Axl Rose was married to his second wife, Vanessa Seymour, that model?
Yes, it was.
Who was remember Rain video as his wife?
Yeah, played his wife. Yeah, they weren't married, but they were a boyfriend girlfriend there.
Yeah, I think Slash, did the same thing that Steven Adler did. He was messing with her behind closed doors, and I think Axl Rose found, and that's why Slash and Axl had a fallout.
Oh wow, I guess that's something there.
Things you do to people, man, that's just, to me, it's just fucked up, man. You're supposed to be your brother, dude. That's supposed to be your brother.
Absolutely. Now here's the fucked up thing. Adler, it's been he was a couple years back. He was taken to a hospital after stabbing himself in the stomach. Apparently, what it was that the police and ambulance service attended the scene there where Adler was allegedly having been found stab wounds in his stomach. Now TMZ reported that Adler, basically, he was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries, and that no one else was involved in the incident.
My lord!
Now we don't know why he did that. What was up there? I don't know. Was it the depression, or need to get attention, or was he fucked up in on the drugs again, or whichever? There, we do not know. But here's a little something there, and this is kind of pitiful. He had this project called Adler's Appetite, where they would perform Appetite for Destruction in its entirety, and Civil War as its encore. The songs that he played when he's still with GNR, he only did songs with. Anything with Matt Sorum on the drums, he will not do.
Jeez.
But then, here's the thing. But why don't you just go out and create your own band, your own songs? Why try to live off of that one record? it is messed up because you're trying to, as I mentioned, try to live off of that one record when you could be coming out with a whole bunch of new material and gaining much more respect for that. But you think he's trying to he's trying to please the nostalgia crowd. And you also remember he was in this interview talking about the other guys in the group there, the other rhythm guitars, the other drummer that's currently with him. He said, "Who are those guys? We had magic together. I love those songs." Yeah, because it made you money, so you could afford your drug habit.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
And when I heard, because of the band's breakup, it took Axl Rose years just to release Chinese Democracy. Remember that album that was like?
Oh my, that was so. How many?
Is he still? Did he
What?
release that? The
Yeah,
Chinese Democracy.
Yeah, they finally released it in 2008, and it was panned by the critics. It was not well received, and people just knew this ain't GNR. This ain't the Guns N' Roses we know. This type record totally sounds different. It sounds like a regular band. It sounds like that band Dolce, but with Axl Rose as a new singer. It wasn't that acceptable, and everybody knew that.
Well, they got better now because they're still touring Guns N' Roses, and they look better than ever.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. He looks so healthy. He looks like he looks younger.
A little bit more heavier. I know that. For you notice he does have a little gut on him there.
That's too much beer drinking right there.
That's true. But then again, it's your body. Your body seems to change as you grow older. There, for some people, there.
Yeah. He's a little tubby. Slash is tubby. Doug McKagan is the only one who is not
tubby there.
Had a pancreas problem, I think. Doug McKagan, the bass player.
Yes,
he had a pancreas problem. Drinking too much alcohol.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful because all that alcohol will definitely catch up to you, no matter what.
Yeah. The members of Roses are Axl Rose, Steven Adler, Izzy, Slash, and that's it right there. And Duff McKagan.
Duff McKagan, yep, the original lineup there.
I know.
There were the classic lineup.
Dr. Earl.
Yeah.
Do you think all that alcohol has caught up to Joe Cronin?
I don't know. I've yet to see Joe Cronin piss, drunk out of his mind, other than that one episode of segment on episode 59.
Yeah. I think it was 58.
58, 59, I think it was, where Jesse and JB was on the call with them. And Joe was flat out wasted.
Yeah.
To the point where he actually did barf.
Yep. All right.
How much booze is Joe Cronin consuming nowadays?
I don't know. I haven't tuned into Joe Cronin since like February 2020.
Really, I've been really tuned in for the past couple months there. But then again, my disgruntlement with his content, it's just it's been expressed many times. So I'm keeping my distance on that level there.
Okay. Yep.
All right. So did Mario step out for a while? I guess
he's watching the basketball.
No, I'm listening and I'm watching the game. I'm listening and watching the game. I'm learning. I don't know nothing about these bands. So. Oh
man. You should look them up, man. They came out with some pretty good stuff there.
They did.
They did. They kept, like we mentioned, they're the ones who gave gateway to Skid Row, Murder Dolls, the 69 Eyes, all those bands.
Real.
Absolutely. All right.
Michael is literally the innovator. Like he started it. Like if it wasn't for him, there would be no bands like Poison and all these other 80 hair bands.
Absolutely. Now, I want to ask you this question. See what you think of this. This was at the City Club in Detroit around 1995. I was seeing a girl named Cheryl. We dated briefly through the beginning of that year. Her friend Julie was with her that night. Now the previous night I saw a band called Illegal, which was a hard rock trio that I knew from years before.
What was it called?
A band. What again? The name of the band. The name of the band.
Yes.
Illegal.
Was S.C. Steve in it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, no. I don't think SCC was. Basically, he was still a little bit a drop of sperm in his daddy's penis at that
Oh
time. Yeah.
no! You did not say that.
Oh yeah. So, anyways, this woman, she asked me, so what did you do last night, Earl? So I'm like, I saw a hard rock band called Illegal. She asked me, did you wear spandex? She was like, did you wear spandex? Compare me to how the heavy metal bands during the 80s would dress. Spandex, big hair, makeup and shit
Oh,
there.
yeah.
But at the same time, I was kind of pissed at her because most of the heavy metal that I listened to didn't wear a lot of spandex and they had no makeup there.
Sorry to say this, but I'm looking at a photo of one of my other favorite rock stars. I would snatch him up too. David Lee Roth, man. God, this dude. I told YR last time. His booty is like my
Oh
lord.
gosh,
David
dude.
Lee Roth. Dude.
Well, he's still is fit, but you notice he has a lot of tattoos on his arms and parts of his chest there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he
that
still got it
surprised me.
he still got it going on. He can still hit them splits too. I'm like, jeez.
Thank goodness. And it's sad that he is no longer performing there.
No, he's not.
I know he decided to retire because Van Halen is no more. Eddie is gone.
Yeah. Michael Monroe
Oh,
was another guy who was jumping off pianos and doing splits and stuff too.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne, but he was doing jumping on the stage with Black Sabbath, not doing
Yeah.
splits like David Lee Roth was.
And Star Child from Kiss too.
Hmm.
Stanley.
Oh wow, Paul Stanley. Oh yeah, he's been known to do lots of that here, and give him credit for doing that with those platform boots that he wears on stage.
Damn. Like how do you even jump that high with those boots on? Like, geez.
Yeah, I guess a lot of training. I
My
guess.
hip. I would have broke every bone in my body jumping those platforms on.
Oh wow. Shout out to Chelsea Castillo in the chat. Am I here? It's been a while since we heard from you, girl. Hope things are cool with you. All right, so I guess this kind of concludes our program for today. So this coming Thursday, we'll take a look at the Doors,
Yes.
and guys, we got to get Ken on this call definitely for this program because you've stated many times on my channel that he is a big Doors fan. We got to definitely get him on the show here. In fact, I might DM him on Skype up when we end this show here, and just to let
What do
him
you
know
think
that
about?
Hmm?
What do you think about Tony from Revere on this show?
Well, it'd be nice to be able to have an open mind.
Can't do the Doors and not have Tony on because Tony's a huge fan of the Doors as well. So
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like he's a huge fan of most of this music that you talk about.
Well,
Yeah.
I've yet to. Well, it would be nice to have him play a Hanoi Rock song on the keyboard there.
Yeah.
Or
it would be
I would challenge him to play Stairway to Heaven on the keyboard.
It'll be so disrespectful because he's a big Doors fan. I don't want to be disrespectful to Tony because I know how much he loves the Doors. That'd be disrespectful.
All right, we could we could probably get him on the call there, definitely, along with Ken as well as I mentioned. We definitely got to get those guys there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right.
So you want him here for Thursday night?
I would love to, yes. Ark, we got to have you as well there because you're as old as I am, a lot more older. You know about the Doors as well there.
Sorry, I'm sorry for that. Sorry.
I was a teenager when they came out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also, we're going to have all the people watching this program to tune in just as well there. We're going to discuss, as I mentioned, one of the first goth rock bands out there, them next to Black Sabbath. All right, so
Dr. Arknolia. Dr.
Dr.
What was
and
Janis
Ark.
Joplin like? What was Janis Joplin like back in your day?
Oh man, that was somebody that was definitely a show. She was good.
Wow.
A lot of
There's
awesome.
at the
Yeah,
same time as
listen to the album Cheap Thrills by her old band Big Brother and the Holding Company. My dad had that original vinyl back in his old collection years back.
wow.
Listen to Ball and Chain. Listen to combination of the two. You know, she had a
Piece of My Heart.
Piece of My Heart. That's one of the big songs for that album.
In
there.
fact, when you listen to that one, no other version. Whoever that country artist was, I can't even think of their name.
Ah, my gosh, Faith Hill, forget it.
That is a terrible version.
I know. We should probably do a show about terrible covers, the worst covers of tracks we ever heard.
Oh yeah, we could fill an hour easy.
Oh man, absolutely. We got to probably make it a second half of one of our programs sometime. Because I still can't get over the fact that Mariah Carey, of all people, would try to cover "Bringing On the Heartbreak" by Def Leppard.
Oh my God!
Wow.
That's what I said.
Yeah, you hear
Like,
some of them and you scratch your head and go, "What were they thinking?"
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh!
she's like- She's half black and half white. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it's not that. It's just the higher terror. I don't know. It's just her trying to cover a hard rock ballad, you know, trying to make it, but making it so mushy. Fucking crying out loud. This is not music to dance serenade your lover with. It's not something you dance with your partner with under the Sibley moonlight. This is something you go to the bathroom and release all the shit that's in your ass out to. This is audio diarrhea right here, folks. Yeah. All right. I guess that'll do it for today's program there. You know, shout out to Arknolia, Prince Idol Donatello, YR, Keith Barber for being on the call here with us. Don't forget,